Would you please turn off your cell phones or silence so they won't disturb the meeting? Callie, will you please call roll?
John Hedges.
Here.
Gary Kepley.
Here.
Heidi Larson.
Here.
Ashley Overton.
Here.
Dale Ryder.
Here.
Erica Weaver.
Here.
Michelle Skinlow.
Here. Under reception of visitors for agenda 2.1A, Franklin Preschool recognition as Circle of Quality Program in Accelerate, Illinois. Jamie?
Hello.
Here we are.
Hi, how are you? Okay, how do I don't know how to do this?
You got this, girl. Touch that second tab up there.
All right, yeah, good. Okay. All right. So I'm excited to tell you guys some good news. We are a part of a program called Accelerate that comes and monitors our preschool program, and it happens every 3 years. They monitor all the preschool programs in Illinois that are basically their licensed preschool programs and also the ones that receive state funding. And they also do the same for daycare settings as well. But you can earn 4 different statuses for your preschool program based on how they rate you, which gold is the highest. And here is their little graphic that they show, but they come and they monitor and they look at different standards and they're grouped into 4 different areas. So there's teaching and learning, family and community engagement, leadership and management, and then qualifications of your staff, and then also do you offer professional development to your staff. So they came and monitored us in October of this past year. They observed in all of our Preschool for All and our Preschool for All expansion classrooms. So they went in every single room and spent time in there. They interviewed several of our staff members, including certified staff and non-certified staff. They audited all of our files, our permanent and our temporary filing systems. They looked through lesson plans. They looked through our assessment pieces to make sure that we had data for kids and that we were making sure that we were keeping track of all of that. And then they had an interview with myself as well. And so I am proud to say that in August, the end of August, Tim and I did receive a letter that said that we received Gold Circle of Quality. So we got the best rating for our preschool program, and it showed that we met or exceeded all of our benchmarks in our learning environment. Our instructional quality was great, and we had met all administrative standards, group sizes, qualifications, and we met all of our professional development. And just a little tidbit, I was doing a quick search, and they have a system where you can go on there and you can search for preschools that do have a Gold Circle of Quality, and we're the only preschool in the Coles County that does have that. So, yay! And so some of the benefits just are that it's just a really great process for us for quality improvement. We have a standard that we are always striving to achieve. And so we have that consistently that we can look at and use that for our school improvement process. There's all kinds of research and best practices that come out of that, which is really helpful for us. And then also we get more grant and funding opportunities because of that. Because we are gold, things come along that are like, hey, you should maybe do this, or you could maybe apply for this, and you might have a good shot of getting it because you are gold. So I just wanted to, thank the board and thank our staff and our parents. We have such a wonderful little community at Franklin Preschool, and it's just so great. And we have staff that really just work really hard and want to do what's best for kids. So I really appreciate all of you. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Item 2.2, non-agenda. Do we have any non-agenda visitors who wish to speak? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda for board action. 3.1, approval of minutes. 3.1A, regular board meeting, August 9th, 2022. 3.2, financial payment of bills. 3.2A, presentation of the bills for approval. 3.3, approval of Mattoon High School FFA trip to FFA National Convention scheduled October 26th through 29th, 2022 in Indianapolis, Indiana. 3.4, approval of MHS Drama Club to attend Illinois High School Theater Festival scheduled January 12th through 14th, 2023 in Champaign, Urbana. 3.5, enrollment report, and 3.6, approval of Freedom of Information report. I need a motion and a second, please.
Second.
Motion by Erica, second by Ashley. Are there any questions? Seeing none, Callie, will you call roll?
Capley,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Overton,
Yes.
Hedges,
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
Ryder.
Yes.
Skinlon.
Yes. Item 4, reports and recommendations of the business managers. Mr. Sherman.
The first thing we have on here is to conduct a public hearing for the budget. So we need a motion, a second, and approval to go into the budget hearing.
May I have a motion and a second by Ashley? Second
Second.
by Erica. Are there any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried.
Okay. Overall, the district is showing a deficit budget, and I'll show you that here in a second. Mostly that's due because the majority of the funds that we received on the revenue side of things for the construction projects at the high school and over at Lyft, we received prior to June 30th, and the expenses are still being incurred right now, and they will be as we go on through this fiscal year. So that's one of the main reasons for having an overall deficit budget. But in the state's eyes, in Illinois State Board of Education's budget report, it's not a deficit budget. They look at only 4 funds. And I'll show you that here in just a second. The Education Fund, Operation and Maintenance Fund, the Transportation Fund, and working cash. So they don't even look at the fund that's in the deficit the most for us. In our case, we're very much in the positive in those other funds. As with most budgets, our team has looked this over. Ryan's been working with me on this and presented with our team, administrative team. We are very conservative on the revenue side of things and slightly aggressive on the expense side. So we try to hedge our bets on what we're going to receive and overdo it on the expense side. So as you can see here, here's our budget. These are the funds that we have. Education fund, the revenue column, the expense column. Every single fund is in the black. Revenues are exceeding expenses, except for capital projects. Big difference here. So overall, we have a deficit budget of $336,000 and some odd dollars. But like I said, with the states looking at it, they only look at the 10 fund, which is education, O&M, transportation, and working cash. And obviously, those are well within positive fund balances. So this is a balanced budget. On the form that we have to send into the state, it'll show that. There's some formulas that go into it. A little thing comes up on the screen and says, if you have a deficit budget, there's a whole slew of things you have to do to correct that. Ours came up in the green and said you're good to go, overall good budget. So, whoops, that's basically it. Does anybody have any questions? Erica?
So just, can you clarify? We have a deficit budget because of the capital projects.
Yes.
But the district is not at a deficit because we received those funds prior to July 1st.
Correct.
So the money is there. And I just want to make sure that that part is clarified, because when you hear the word deficit, it sounds like we
Sure.
are deficient in some spaces, but the money we've already received it, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. This is just like like we have our savings account. Our savings account, if you will, if like you relate it to your home expenses and budget, our savings account's going to cover this. In our case, we call it the fund balance. So in your board packet, you should have a sheet that shows all of the fund balances for all of the funds in total, and it well covers this.
Okay.
So this is just our budget. If we only had from July 1 to June 30th, and that's all we had no piggy bank, no savings account, we'd be in trouble. But we have our savings account that has a lot of money in it, so if we need to, we can go to it. So that's a great question though.
And so we won't have there will be no negative impact on the community, no
No.
impact on taxes or any of those things as a result. I just want to make sure that we
Yeah.
are making sure that people understand.
Absolutely not, and it won't, because we can't even if we wanted to, we can't even levy for that fund. So we can't even go to the taxpayers for that fund at all.
Thank
So, and we'll get to the levy part next month.
Thank you.
Anyone else? We need to close the hearing.
I need a motion and a second to close the budget hearing.
Motion. Second.
Motion by Erica, second by Ashley. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, 4.2 is to recommend that the board approves the budget that I just presented. And this needs to be a roll call vote as well.
Yes. I need a motion and a second to approve the fiscal year 23 budget.
Motion.
Motion by Ashley,
Second.
second by Erica. Are there any questions or comments? Callie, will you call roll, please?
Hedges,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Ryder,
Yes.
Heffley,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Overton,
Yes.
and Scanlon.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to 4.3, board action to declare surplus items. From time to time, we usually maybe do this 2 or 3 times a school year to dispose of items that have been deemed a surplus throughout the district. We have a list of items. There's basically 4 things. I'm just gonna put them all up here. We have a golf cart at the middle school. We have some computer servers that are here. They're housed in this building. 24 projectors and smart boards over at Riddle. And then at Williams is a walk-behind carpet cleaner vacuum machine. So what we need to do this evening is approve these to be surplus. And then anybody that's interested in purchasing these items can contact the people at these buildings, administrator at one of these buildings where these items are located to make arrangements to purchase them. We don't get into how much are they gonna cost and how much we're gonna sell a golf cart for and all that. We don't wanna get into the weeds with all that. This is just to declare it surplus. By law, we have to do that. We just can't give stuff away because this is school district property tax owners' items. So we need to declare it surplus and then fix a way to dispose of it.
I need a motion and a second to approve to declare the surplus items.
Motion.
Oh, wow. Thank you, John. Motion by John. Come on, I need a second.
Yes.
By Gary. I was getting worried. I need a roll call vote on this, Callie. We had a second, Gary did. Oh, a question. I call for a question?
You just need a voice vote.
Oh, just a voice vote, okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Number 5, reports and recommendation of the Assistant Superintendent, Dr. Scosi.
Thank you so much. The board has reported the September personnel report. Item 5.1B, certified appointments. You see there's a gaggle of substitute teachers, which is good. We'll go through them. Kathleen Allen, substitute teacher, effective immediately. Gary Cardinal, substitute teacher, effective immediately. James Kaufman, retired speech pathologist, coming back to sub for us, effective August 29, 2022, covering maternity leave. Aubrey Crozer, substitute teacher, effective immediately. Samantha Drake, substitute teacher, effective immediately. Laura Glenn, substitute teacher, effective immediately. Tabitha Canute, substitute teacher, effective immediately. And Mary Maxiden, substitute teacher, effective immediately. Donald Selvage, substitute teacher, effective immediately. I'd like to say a lot of those people I just listed right there and brought forward for recommendation are retired educators, so that's wonderful for our students as well. Continuing, 5.1C, certified retirement rescindings. We're asking the board to rescind Patrick Powers, that originally came to the board, put in retirement for this October. He's a district bus driver for us. He's going to help us out as we're struggling to fill positions in that area. Would like to extend his retirement and postpone that until December 31st of this year. So we're requesting that to occur as well. I appreciate that from Patrick as well. Moving forward, classified resignation. Karina Baxton, a resigned middle school elementary supervisor, effective August 29th. Dave Miller, longtime Transportation Service Center bus aide, is going to retire March 22nd, 2024. He will have served our districts and students 20 years at that time. So happy and for his service towards the district. Yvonne Stewart, longtime Transportation Service Center bus driver for us, resigned August 12th, 2022, and Yvonne had drove our bus and many of our extra activities for 17 years in our district, did a phenomenal job. It was great. She's gonna wait 60 days and get back on that sub list. So, work on. As we continue, classified appointments, Christina Cherry, Title I paraprofessional, effective immediately at Williams. Alexis Colbert, Riddle Elementary School Supervisor, effective immediately. Marilyn Harris, William Elementary School Supervisor, effective immediately. Logan Retzer, Riddle Elementary School Supervisor, effective immediately. And then as we continue, 5.1E, you will see these are basically all substitute supervisors or supervisors. Heather Sims, School Supervisor, effective immediately at Williams. Sarah Ulicki, Riddle Elementary School personal paraprofessional, effective immediately. Christina Darling, sub-bus driver, effective immediately. Leota K4, substitute secretary, effective immediately. Taylor France, substitute teacher and supervisor, effective immediately. Jacqueline Gross, sub-custodian, effective immediately. Latasha Harris, sub-secretary, effective immediately. Emily Prather, substitute supervisor, effective immediately. And Tracy Schmidt, substitute bus driver, effective immediately. Greg Thompson, retired last year as a 20 plus years in the district as a bus driver. He's coming back to be a substitute bus driver for us effective September 8th, 2022. Happy for that as well. Classified appointments as we continue. Truesdale, James Truesdale, substitute custodian. McKinley Beals, volunteer, effective immediately. Melissa Burton, volunteer, effective immediately. Lindsay Butler, volunteer. Haley Eldridge, volunteer. Leanne Foster, retired teacher for us, volunteer. Gabriel Halford, volunteer. Tina Louder, volunteer. And Daniel Sledge, volunteer, effective immediately. Extracurricular assignments, 5.1G. Tara Stewart, recommending her as Maxine High School Lighthouse Co-Coordinator, effective immediately. Zachary Smith, who we've already hired last year to start next year as a Maxine High School graduate as our vocal teacher at Maxine High School and Middle School, but he's going to come. We're recommending him for vocal music sponsor at the high school to do the vocal extracurricular club, effective this year immediately. Carrie Beach, Maxine High School Lighthouse Co-Coordinator. And the board had before them an addendum. Certified appointments, Braylee Hawkins, substitute teacher, and then 5.1E. Some appointments here. Again, Jalen Logan, recommending her to fill our middle school building technician position effective immediately. Tanya Craig is a bus aide and substitute bus driver, effective immediately. Jacqueline Gross, effective immediately as a substitute supervisor, paraprofessional, pending receiving her license. Alicia Quas, substitute supervisor. Cheryl Moore, volunteer. And finishing up, Mary Moore, volunteer. Kathleen Staton, volunteer. And that is it. Are there any questions?
It's a full list.
It's a full list, but it's a list of people that we're looking to employ to do things like be bus drivers and sub-teachers. Important. Seeing none, I recommend the board accept the personnel report as presented.
You need a motion in a second, please. Motion by-
To approve the gavel. The gavel, you like
The
that?
gavel?
I just said clap.
Gail
Word of the
Ryan
day.
made the motion.
Word of the day.
Second by Gary Kaplin. Are there any questions? Seeing none, Callie, will you call roll, please?
Weaver,
Okay.
Ryder,
Yes.
Kepley,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Overton, yes. Hedges,
Yes.
and Skinlon.
Yes.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 6, reports and recommendations of the Assistant Superintendent for Student Services. Dr. Hills, you're up.
Thank you. So I have 3 items tonight for the board. The first item is going to be a summary of our summer learning opportunities, the outcomes, and all the great experiences that happened all summer long on all of our campuses. No action on that. The second item is action item to approve a memorandum of understanding for LIFT. So that'll be about Skills USA. And then the third item, again, no action, just some curricular updates to share with the board that we'll take action on next month. So first of all, summer learning outcomes. We're going to start with Williams Elementary. The board will remember that we started with 5th quarter, so that was the month of June. We had 94 kids attend at Williams Elementary School. The learning just kept going. We had 12 teachers, 2 special ed teachers, and 1 kind of head teacher that ran the management and the scheduling of all of that. During fifth quarter, students are working to finish competencies from the previous school year. So we wrote this into our ESSER's learning recovery plan. So as students were finishing the grade level, if there were some things that they weren't quite done with, we gave them a little bit of a boost to finish out the year's instruction. Really excited to share that 88% of the students who attended demonstrated growth in those competencies. So really, really good. That's a great percentage. We were happy with that. In addition, we were able to serve an average of 70 meals every day at Williams alone, and we provided transportation to 41 kids. So those are 41 students for whom summer school would have been impossible if that barrier had been removed. So we're really thankful and happy about that. The learning continued into July, where we had 2 sessions of Jumpstart. Again, we had a lot of staff members willing to do this, and so after 2 really tough years, they continued serving because they saw the need in our kids. We did provide special ed services again during Jumpstart. What we do during Jumpstart is pretty cool. We look at what they might not have finished in the previous year, but then we look into the upcoming year and we address curriculum these students are going to meet. So that way we build some confidence and we get them ready to start the school year with success. A really fun part of Jumpstart is that the kindergarten students, incoming kindergarten students come. So our little preschoolers who are getting ready to come get a taste, and it's really nice for them to be in the school, and it cuts down on some of those first day kindergarten things. Mrs. Kraft remembers it well, right? Some of these kids, you say, "What's your name?" And they're like, "Yes." So it's nice to have them in the building early. It makes parents feel a lot better too, I will say. Over at Riddle Elementary, we had great outcomes as well. So here again, fifth quarter, same focus. Fifth quarter is extending the learning from that school year, and the plans are developed on the individual students on the roster. So there might have been 15 kids in the group, and all 15 might have been working on slightly different learning targets. We had 55 kids attend regularly. Again, great staff turnout, so we had a really good student-to-staff ratio. 85% of the kids who attended demonstrated growth, which again, we're thrilled with. Had we not offered this, that would have been all unfinished learning going into the beginning of this year. So we're really trying to kind of close that learning gap and do some learning recovery. Again, we had breakfast and lunch. We had breakfast at Williams too, but we were able to serve those meals and embed some social emotional learning competencies during that kind of family meal time, which is a really great experience too. 74% of the kids who attended Riddle's fifth quarter used transportation as well. So our buses were running all summer long. 2 sessions of Jumpstart, once again, same thing. We're finishing up a few things, but really we're looking forward into the next year and getting them ready for the learning ahead of them. 2 weeks for both sessions. In this instance, we had 80 students. So July was very busy month. Which you're going to see in an upcoming bullet point was a warm month as well. We had a lot of staff who came to help do that, 10 staff members. Again, high transportation participation. And this is great. So Riddle was a little warm this summer. Probably felt like whenever we were going to elementary school and didn't have air conditioning all the time. But even though that happened, kids were obviously learning, teachers were participating, and we had lots of popsicles, right? So that was another really good thing. Down the street at the middle school, I guess across town from Riddle at the middle school, we also did fifth quarter. We had 53 middle school students attend. Again, we had about 8 teachers participate. The focus of fifth quarter was skill work. In the middle school, we start looking at kind of like recovering failed classes or work that's not been complete. And so the 7th and 8th graders really worked on that. And at the middle school, they offered a STEAM or coding class, kind of like a fun enrichment camp. So students were able to participate in that as well. 49 of those 53 students passed all the required competencies. So that's amazing. Again, that would have been that many students going into the next year with unfinished learning. And so you're just kind of trying to play catch up from the beginning. So there's lots of great, effective results from that too. We had 30 meals provided, 26 kids received transportation at the middle school. Our high school did fifth quarter as well. We have all kinds of stuff happening at the high school. Here we do some credit recovery, but we also do government, econ, and driver's ed. Right? We had 88 kids attend fifth quarter, and you can see 38 students did government or econ. Oftentimes that's to get a jump start, free something up in their schedule so they can take other classes. And then we had kids taking driver's ed as well. Again, excellent staff participation. I can't emphasize enough. I mean, they were giving up, more time to be there and continue that learning after the school year ended. We have 2 teachers for government and econ, and the focus here is either earning credits or working ahead to offer some flexibility. 81% of kids in fifth quarter demonstrated growth, and they earned credit that they otherwise wouldn't have. So they would have had to repeat that in their schedule, and they were able to get that work completed and that learning mastered. Everybody who participated in government, econ, and driver's ed, they all passed, so that's good. We also offered meals at the high school, so about 25 kids ate with us every day, and we did have some students in high school take advantage of transportation as well. So overall, we're really excited to share with the board that we were able to meet all of the goals that we established for 2020. It's really good. We're really excited about that. We plan on continuing that into summer of 2023, utilizing our ESSER funds as outlined in our learning recovery plan. Are there any questions about summer learning?
So you didn't do the jump start at the middle school?
No, we didn't do Jumpstart at the middle school. At the middle school, we had quite a bit of staff changes, right, Mr. Pugh? We hired quite a few people. So that, in addition to the fact that at the middle school, when we did kind of an end of the year survey on what was most needed, it was kind of that learning recovery. So we finished it and we kind of hit reset for the school year start. Oh, Mrs. Kless is here too. Sorry. Any other questions or? Okay. All right, the next thing is an action item. So the board is familiar with Skills USA. It's been an amazing program for us at the high school. Mrs. Roberts does a great job as the facilitator and kind of coach of Skills USA at the high school. We're coming to board tonight to enter into an agreement so that Skills USA can be offered at Lyft. We want to use it as an accreditation center as well, which requires us to kind of just sign the same agreement once more for another facility. So just kind of refreshing everyone's memory, why would we do this? Well, it allows us to test with industry recognized credentialing. So the curriculum that's in the NCCER is aligned with outcomes that employers have asked for. So it situates our graduates well for jobs as soon as they graduate. In addition, we're able to recruit more students. If they see this as kind of an outcome, it's another reason to enroll at Lyft. It enhances their abilities to succeed in the career of choice. We talked about the credentialing, and it also is a kind of distinguisher. So it demonstrates just the difference between someone who's completed a training course and someone who has that certificate or credential. It makes them more marketable for jobs anywhere. So those are kind of the reasons that we're looking to go ahead and do this. Also just expanding on the great things that are happening at the high school. There is eventually an opportunity for students to compete and go to different competitions to demonstrate their skills, but for right now, we really want this for the accreditation purposes. So with that, we would recommend board action to approve the MOU between NCCER Skills USA and our school district, specifically Lyft.
I need a motion to approve the MOA, please.
So
By Dale Ryder, second by Erica Weaver. Are there any questions?
I have one quick question. You mentioned the, where they can go and compete stuff. They will still be able to do that?
Yes,
Okay.
yep. We're just not gonna be ready for that just right away. The high school is still gonna keep doing what they're doing. This is kind of like in another chapter.
That's what I meant, yeah,
Yep.
the ones that's been, okay, thank you.
So Chrissy, is it different courses and different students as opposed to what's happening at the high school, or will they be similar?
Well, it's similar in terms of like the accreditation process, but it'll be different content. So our kids could participate in courses at the high school, and if they went to Lyft, they could participate in that as well. So it also allowed us to do some of the testing on site that goes with the credentialing, which will be good for both high school students and Lyft students. Yeah.
Thank you. Kelly, will you call roll, please?
Kepley,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Overton. Yes. Hedges,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Ryder,
yes,
Scanlon.
Yes.
Thank you. Last thing that I have, the most exciting fun stuff, well, it's all been fun, I guess, but curriculum updates. I want to start by just drawing the board's attention to a collection development policy. So, no action on any of this tonight, but we're going to talk about a collection development policy, and then I've got also our team back here in the back row to talk to you about some realignment and expansion of our ag courses and articulation of a pathway in 3 different areas. So they're going to talk to you about that, and then we'll take action on all of these items next month, which will give the board opportunities to review everything in detail and ask any questions that they want between now and then. So to start with the collection development policy, our media specialists worked together last spring and early into the summer to come up with a process that would describe what we include in our libraries. So what materials are included, how those materials are selected, and it also includes an opportunity for people to ask questions and to ask for reconsideration for materials to be included or to be excluded from the library. Many school districts nationwide have this process in place, and so our media specialists thought this was a really proactive approach to put in place so that they have something to use for material selection and also just review and meeting. So that's hyperlinked in here, and I do have a hard copy that I'll get the board, but just quickly, I wanna just draw your attention to the specific sections. It outlines the why, like why would we do this, in addition to how materials are selected, followed by what tools they use to decide what books to invest in and what to have in the library, professional collection for our staff, leading, so can't just kind of keep adding, you gotta decide something in, something out. So what's that process look like? Gifts to our media centers, and then reconsideration of materials. There's a very well thought out process in a form, and then some consideration by committees. And so the board can kind of look through that. And then there's reference documents as to, where all of this kind of came from. I want to commend our media specialists for their thoughtful research and also the development of this policy. I think it will situate us well for keeping our resources in our media centers relevant, robust, and also give people a voice in what's being used. So that's there for you guys. The reconsideration form, I also have a hard copy for you, so you can take it with you, but you'll have this electronically so you can get in there. Okay, any questions on that?
How often do they go through this process?
Great question. So I think it works in there that annually they're adding materials and meeting. The reconsideration is based upon request. So if there was something that you wanted added and wasn't there, or there was something that you saw that was there and you wanted it removed, then that's kind of like on an as-needed basis. After you mentioned that, I think they had like 10 days to kind of establish this group, this working group that will review the reconsideration form. Yeah. Yep. Okay. All right. I think we're moving on to the next item, which is our ag program. So the board knows that our ag program at the high school is really a point of pride for our school and for our community. And I want to commend Mr. Stewart and his staff and this team here for the vision and continuing to kind of grow that in a community that has a lot of agribusiness and all kinds of agricultural opportunities. The alignment of pathways that you're going to see here situates us and our graduates very well for post-secondary work and for careers in the ag field. And then the other way down, our middle school, I was there today, and they are just ready to go with those classes at the middle school ag lab too. So with that, our teachers are here. They're going to walk through their proposed revisions. I think you'll be really excited about what they have in store. So everybody, come on up. I'll let you guys introduce yourselves as you go through we got to see this last week at CCC. It's pretty awesome. Probably need to zoom in somehow though. Okay.
So good evening, everybody. I was here, I think, it was 7 or 8 years ago. This is my 8th year at Mattoon High School, and it might have been the 1st or 2nd year, somewhere in there, where we went through and we revised the original curriculum that we had when the ag program was brought back to Mattoon High School. It'd been 7 years at that point of the same curriculum. So here we are, 7 or 8 years, somewhere in there. Time period passing here, and we're ready to update again. And it's not a single teacher program, so the opportunities that we can bring to the students and to our community has greatly increased. So what this is how we move forward, how we provide more opportunities So as we go through this, like click on the
I
slide.
think you have to like slide. I don't know, I'm
Roll.
the easy expert at this.
Do you not use your new solid?
That's growth.
Yeah,
Yeah, I took
Okay.
it's hard.
she knows how to make it work.
I don't think that.
That's
it's gonna work.
No.
I think it's like a scrolling.
We're good.
So as a review, the FFA and Ag works off of a 3-circle model. So we have the classroom instruction, which is our focus this evening. This is live. Then there's the supervised agricultural experience. This is the hands-on opportunities, the experiences, the jobs, the job shadows, all of that stuff that happens outside of the classroom and outside of the school. And then we have FFA leadership, which includes competitions, leadership development events, trips, professional development, training seminars, and things like that. So all of this together is ag education. And so when we're talking about things, we're not just talking about the classroom and that's all we're doing, or just working on the farm or something like that. I mean, they could be, I'm gonna say welding because that's what I do. They could be a welder, and that could be pouring into additional opportunities for them to earn scholarships or compete because they're keeping track of the records and the growth opportunities that they are experiencing. So that's ag ed in a nutshell. Our current pathways that the 4 of us are representing, I'm gonna lose my title there a little bit. That's okay. So, yeah, that's all right. The 4 of us currently represent these pathways. And as we talk about pathways, we're talking about what is aligned by the state of Illinois. So there's funding that you have to have certain classes in the different categories, basic to advanced, in order to receive funding and in order to have accredited classes. So right now we have AgMech 1 and 2, which is what I'm teaching all day long. We have Ag Science and then Plant Science or Animal Science, depending on the enrollment numbers. We have Woodshop, which this is the only point you're going to see Woodshop in this presentation, but it is aligned currently, and we're not touching that one tonight. And then the Food Lab, there's fashion design, nutrition, culinary occupations. And then we have these additional options. Basic construction actually fits into this pathway per the state. And then SAE is like an advanced class. The SAE class, that is an opportunity for students to gain credit for job shadowing. Maybe they want to become a veterinarian. We've mentioned that one because it also lines up with the class that we're going to have, hopefully have. If they want to become a teacher, they can go job shadow teachers, and we've had that in the past. Had somebody interested in owning their own business, and so that was their thing. So this is either on campus or off campus opportunities that we provide for students. So new pathways. We currently have power, structural, and technical systems. That's not, the pathway is not changing, proposing some name change in here. We have a plant systems, we're going to expand it. Food production, this is going to be a brand new one that Tommy's going to be talking about. And then animal systems, we are expanding. And this is where I turn it over to these ladies. I think that was yours.
Sure. So Introduction to Ag, it's a very broad class where everything that we teach, all 4 of us, will be taught into one class. And then they'll also get a little bit of FFA in that, so we can hopefully get them into that club and organization and try to pull them in so that they can have those more experiences. But the point of the class is basically to get a taste of everything, then hopefully that will take them down their pathway once they decide what they're interested in, kind of take their very closed mind and expand it and show them what is out there, because everybody kind of views agriculture just as farming, and so we want to show them that there's more in it, diversity is here, everybody's welcome, and all of those things. So this class would just be a semester-long class, because the freshman year, it's hard for them to fill a full year class with everything else that they're required to do, and so this class would only be a semester for them.
Okay, so I guess I got it too soon. My portion of it with what I'm teaching this year, we currently call our introductory class AgMech 1, and then we call the second level, or the skills course, AgMech 2, basic construction. I'm not proposing to change anything to that class. Originally, we had a lot of additional topics that were covered in AgMech 1 and 2. And then we created basic construction, I believe, 3 years ago. And that took a lot of those extra topics that we were covering and experiences and put it into basic construction. So now we're a couple more years down the road, things are more developed. We've been able to dive into welding and fabrication a whole lot more. I would like to change the name from AgMech 1 and 2 to Welding 1 and 2, and then tweak the course description to remove the topics that we are teaching in basic construction. We're able to add more classes that dive deeper into all of these topics because we were able to expand that.
Carl, before you leave that slide, just for the board's benefit, where it says orientation course, introductory course, skills course, there's a fourth level that's advanced course. Those 4 levels comprise a state approved pathway. So you'll see that in all of there is, SAEs, typically, those kinds of things. But that's also the structure for all of our courses, all of our pathways is lit. So they're all accredited and recognized as a full CTE pathway, which is that doesn't happen everywhere.
So we've got a quick break here. Would you guys mind introducing, because I'm sure the board is familiar with Carl, but Hannah, would you guys go ahead and mind introducing yourselves as well, please?
Right now.
Yeah.
So I'm Hannah Spain. I'm one of the new ag teachers. My focus is in plants, but I'm also teaching woodshop this year and basic construction.
And MHS grad.
Yes.
And then my name is Rachel Prups. I'm also teaching similar classes as Hannah. I'm teaching an animal science class, 3 woodshop classes, but one of them is basic construction and 2 woodshop classes, and then one of the careers classes that freshmen take. I am new to the district and new to teaching, so it's my first year. And I went to Newton High School, so.
My name is Tanya Ike. I am entering my 13th year of teaching. I took a mental break for 3 years and worked at the Coles County Farm Bureau for a while and decided I wanted to dive back into education. And I have taught all of these classes within the 12 years I've taught. So I decided to jump on a new pathway and to take on the food classes and the textile classes this year. So, and we'll talk about that more in a minute.
I get in trouble a lot for forgetting introductions. And usually my wife is like, hey, you're going to introduce. So I'm just bad at introductions in general. I apologize. I think now I officially hand it over. I do.
All right, so plant systems, some of these classes will be previous classes, but then we're also going to expand them and change the focus a little bit. So the first class, the orientation, that will be Intro to Ag. That's for everybody's class, we'll start there. And then the next one will be horticulture production and management. This will be focused in the greenhouse. So hopefully they will be able to devote more time in there, learn all their practices, focus more on plant growth. Hopefully have some people from the community come in on that one and speak about all the ideas that go into horticulture. And then the next one would be floral design. This would be mapped out with the floral design principles and then relating them to holidays, events of the schools, and trying to give the students an opportunity to show their art through this instead of just agriculture based. We can get some different kids in here to take our classes. And then I think this is the last one. Landscape management. This will be our advanced course. It'll be outside a lot of times when the weather is good and permitting. And they will be doing a lot of hands-on work, taking the landscape design ideas, applying them around the school, kind of making them take a little bit of ownership of the school, get help out, and find a place there at the school where they can actually be like, oh yeah, I did that in my class, and show their friends what they've been doing. Both the floral design and landscape class, we would hope that they could take the SAE class their senior year if they chose to continue on if they wanted to job shadow in one of those fields and industries. there's just some details if you guys need more, more details.
All right, food science. So who in here does not like to eat? I think that's a given thing. So what we are trying to do is we're trying to make the student understand where where the food comes from, rather than Walmart, grocery store, or my mom's cabinet. We're gonna we'll have the intro to ag, but then we'll have the food processing, which will give the basics of where the food comes from. And at the point of this, we'll work in the greenhouse a little bit. We'll have hydroponics. We currently have towers in our room that they will learn how to process that food, take that food and make it theirs, a farm to table kind of concept. Then with the animal and plant food, we will actually take one of our products that you'll learn about in a little bit, and we'll be able to process it. They'll understand how to take care of their food and become more self-sufficient. For instance, they will have a chicken. I'm just gonna use a chicken because that's what we're getting. And they'll be able to see the process of it when it's laying the eggs. How can we process those eggs? How can we use those eggs? How can we be sufficient with those? We're also gonna talk to them about canning, preserving, cooking, smoking, all the process of how to be a good service to themselves and be able to take food. So there's a store that has a sale of a loin. Let's figure out how to freeze it. Let's learn how to cut it. Let's learn where it comes from. And then with all of this is food processing. They will actually, these next two courses will work with Fit to Serve, and where we would work together in teaching them how the garden is grown, how to take that product, and how to use it. Sustainable agriculture is also known as urban agriculture, which most of the people are starting to get into really hard. But the problem is people lose interest and they lose focus. And my projection is to have kids understand why you plant tomato plants in certain places in your yard, and you take those tomato plants and how you process them. And you use your food to consume for yourself. And also we take this to another part of, they actually leave, they can take an SAE and go work for Fit to Serve, and also not helping themselves, but they're helping the community. And that's what we base a lot of our stuff on in FFA and in agriculture, is how can you be beneficial? And hopefully at some point, big dreaming, we will have our own outdoor kitchen. Kids will learn how to cook and know how to grill and know how to take care of things and come to the point of maybe serving staff on a regular basis. But here's an outline of all of the classes that we will have, that I projected to have, and I'm pretty excited about it.
Great.
Now tell me about your chickens.
Okay, so
I'm excited about the chickens.
I did grow up on a farm, so I do have a bit of a background as animal ag, if you want to call it that. So mine will be a little more short and sweet. You'll start with the introductory course that we already talked about. The next course I'm already teaching which is a basic animal science course. You're just learning the basics about a lot of things in animal industry within agriculture, different livestock species, how that's involved in agriculture, really going into the myths versus the facts, and really learning about, how it works in the real world. A bunch of other things, careers, maybe animal health, nutrition, diseases. And the course I'm looking to add is a vet science course. So this is a more hands-on course. The goal is to have more animals on campus. We're getting some chickens, hopefully pretty soon. And this course is directed more to students who want to become a veterinarian after high school, or a vet tech, vet assistant. A lot of people have kids and they say, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they'll say, I want to be a vet. And there is a big need for vets in not just Illinois, but the whole nation. There's an extreme shortage in veterinarians and other animal industry careers. So the vet science course would be more hands-on to add to that need that the nation is needing. So, and I do not have an advanced course. And then here is more information on mine. There's more details that tells you more about the specifics of units that would be covered, animal anatomy, things like that. Additional courses. We already talked about this. This is the SAE course, so all of our students would be able to take this as a course outside of Any of the other courses we just talked about offering, this is more of an independent study course that we were talking about.
And this is a course that we already have. and
Yes.
We've had kids going through it for years.
Yeah.
So overall, this is what the pathways that we're looking at. So welding 1 and 2, name change, the plant systems, it's laid out there. In the plant systems pathway, you don't have to go into one before you go into the other one. That was a question that we were asked at the CCC meeting. The food systems, you can see that there, and then the animal systems is also there. The lines from welding 1 to welding 2, and then over at the food systems and animal systems, those you do have to go in order there. There'd be too much lost if you did. But our goal is to have students be able to jump into something maybe as a senior and they have not already taken the introductory course or something like that. Because at that point, we want them to connect with their passion to help them where they go next. And then the additional courses, that's what we've already talked about. That also. And then summary of changes, name changes, bringing back intro to ag, we had that previously, and then horticulture production and management, and then we got another slide with additional, the rest of the changes.
Fancy.
More information.
If you scan the QR code here, it brings you to more of the descriptions that were already created, and it also shows you the state codes. Okay.
Any questions?
You guys are amazing.
Well done.
Well, we're gonna pop for you first and then. And I don't know if this is a question for your group or for Dr. Hill, but how will the food and animal piece work with our lift building and what our students are gonna be doing there? So will the kitchen be just at the high school? Will it be a part of the lift program? How will those two programs complement each other?
So this is all matching high school stuff, but I think you can tell just by the group, they're dreamers, and they're the kinds of dreamers who can make things happen. I fully anticipate those partnerships to continue to grow. We haven't really talked about that yet, but I think there'll be lots of opportunities for some shared learning and shared stuff. So
Because I know that was one of the things that we talked about with the listeners.
Yeah.
We wanted to do more farm to table, so I didn't know if there had already been some discussion or, so that would be good. That was all I had.
Probably not good for those chickens.
Well, I wondered about that, but I didn't want to ask in this meeting.
We're gonna talk about conversation.
we're gonna this on my, we're gonna focus on the eggs.
Yeah, we're focused on the eggs.
I will tell you this, Erica, I've had a conversation with one of these four, and I'm not gonna tell you which one that used to be at Coles County Farm Bureau, referenced her coming into the school district and stuff, and if I didn't know any better, I'd say Mr. Stewart has been teaching her how to get a wish list together, after talking to her, so I think we're gonna see
I have a big wish list.
a lot more from these folks, so.
Great work, you guys.
Very good.
Excellent. Thank you for the presentation.
Christy, I was wondering if I could ask you a curriculum question before.
Absolutely.
So clearly we talked about the sexual, the NCS, the comprehensive sexual.
Oh, NSES, yep.
Yes. And it was in April, and there's been a lot of movement in the community, right? So people are not adopting it, we adopted it with modification. When I look at enrollment numbers from 21-22, we lost 70. This year, we're under 3,000. We have the back to school that opens, and then we have today in the newspaper that St. John's is building a high school. And I think parents are concerned, and so I'm wondering, where are we at with our committee? Who's serving on that committee? Like, how are we as a district moving forward to protect all kids?
Yeah, great question. I think there were a couple, oh, go ahead.
That's really not on our agenda, but I'm sure Christy could get with you and let you know that information, because we have to have it on the agenda in order to address that particular item.
So just to
Christy.
ask a curriculum question about, just an update, like, is the committee formed? Have you met? Who serves on the committee? Like that?
Well, technically, we're not supposed to, according to the bylaws that we are given. that an item is not to be discussed unless previously mentioned.
So I could ask you and Tim to put that on for next month.
Yes, you could.
Okay.
Most definitely. That would be the appropriate thing to do.
And also,
And I
just-
didn't mean to cut it off, it's just, we have guidelines we have to follow.
Just a quick correction, the enrollment report that the board just approved tonight was at 31.5. So it is over 3,000,
Okay, it's not reported on mine that way. so
but it is reported on the enrollment
Okay.
report from August. So
Thank you.
Okay, we do not have unfinished business. I have a assignment that you have in front of you. There was one change, so you have a revision that's at your table. And it is up here. Okay. So I did make one small correction, so you have a committee assignment, so please take note of that, and I'm sure you'll be, reminded of when those committees come to fruition. We do not have any new business, except I would like to remind everyone that Green and Gold Day is Friday, September 23rd. MHS students will be serving in the community, and I know there's ample opportunity for you to participate if you'd like. Last year, I sat at the high school and made cards, so it doesn't have to be hard work. So please feel free to contact the high school, I guess, and they can help you find something to do. We are going into executive session at 7:54 or 56 to discuss matters pertaining to school safety and security plans. And I don't believe we'll have
there's no action.
no action will be coming out of the meeting. So I need a motion and a second.
Motion.
Second. Ashley made the motion, Erica made the second, to go into executive session at 7:54. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you and have a good evening.
Good job.